on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also making his debut, Mr. Rob Lundholm.
Correct.
Northeast Regional Director, EAG-LED. Welcome in, sir.
That's me. We sell the premium quality LED lights. We pretty much make them custom made to order. They're shipped to your door. Our install crew shows up, very quick, efficient installs, and we move right on down the line.
I like it. All right. So a lot of positive stuff happening around EAG-LED lighting, the Consumer Quarterback Show here as well.
You're in a great business, housing.
That's right.
Housing is it.
That's right.
Besides that, LED lights are pretty good too.
Amen.
There you go.
All of my flashlights have been converted.
There you go. Not quite our forte, but it's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump right back into it. So we got Rob in the house. Rob's making his debut. Rob Lundholm here, Northeast Regional Director with EAG-LED Lighting. And we've heard in the past, lots of your different representatives on the show. So EAG-LED, claims to be the best lights on the planet. Tell us more about, how the lights work and what makes them better than the rest.
LED lights are actually a lot like cars. And our boss, John Grant, always talks about there's many different ways that you can make a car. Like, there's an XL variety and then an XLT and then an Eddie Bauer and a different numbers of trims. Our lights are basically made like the premium of premium. If there's a component that's head and shoulders above the rest, we put it in our lights. And we do that because we've been down the road of trying to do things a little bit cheaper, trying to do things a little bit easier, and we always come up with some sort of failure. Our lights are, like I said, they are like the best of best, top to bottom, fixtures, components, raw materials, drivers, diodes. I could get real technical. We only have an hour.
Yeah, get technical.
We choose to use only the best, and in the end, you pay a little bit more for our lights, but they last much longer and much better light and less headache.
And talk to us about that. I was talking to a prospect this morning on the real estate listing side. He's like, well, I can get somebody to do it for 4.5%. Somebody offered me. I'm like, yeah, you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
You're going to be another expired listing. He's already on the market 6 months. And I said, if you relist, I said, why don't you pay one of those flat fee services? But so give us an example of what happens in your industry when, an epic failure, when people are, they're trying to save a little bit of money, but ultimately, you're better off paying a little bit more for the best possible service and the best possible product.
The city of Detroit was kind enough to kind of like throw us a layup when it comes to that exact scenario, where they decided that they wanted to do their whole entire town and all the street lights in LEDs. And they put it out for bid, and they didn't really have any bid specifications, and they're looking at a broad range of prices, and let's say, they decided, well, we'll just take the lowest bid, and if anybody wants to Google,
wow,
if you want to Google LED lighting or street lights in Detroit, of all cities with their crime rate, it's probably the worst case scenario, but like after a year and a half or 2 years, like 60% of them are dead.
Oh, my goodness.
Jesus. And I believe they went bankrupt, too, right? Was that before or after the bankruptcy?
I think this was like something that they did after the bankruptcy.
Oh, boy. Well, it doesn't matter at this point.
No, it made a bad situation much worse.
So bad management all across the board.
It's just it's an inferior product.
Yeah.
We make, for an example, we'll make like a panel light that you would see in the average office. Our panel light retails for $159. You can buy them much cheaper, but when you buy that cheaper light, it doesn't have the right plastic, for the lens. The driver's inexpensive, so it starts to flash and flicker, and then eventually it burns out, and you basically spent the money for nothing.
Right, and then you got the labor included.
Exactly.
and the lost opportunity costs. So give us some examples of maybe some larger scale projects that you've done with EAG-LED lighting.
We're a nationwide company. We've done our crown jewel is the NASCAR Raceway in Phoenix.
Nice.
And I was actually out there in November, and Ryan, who was on the show last week, him and I were like walking around like kind of kids in a candy store. It's like,
nice.
Oh, look at this, and we were taking pictures, and people are looking at us like, what are these guys doing?
That's cool.
But it's a very, really large scale project. We didn't do the whole track, but we did the brand new infield. We did a lot of the under the bleachers with the fan lighting, and it's really something to see.
So we always like to prognosticate a little bit here, like Fred had mentioned earlier. We talk about where's the economy going, where's the real estate market going, and some experts are already talking about a potential two out of three adults. I guess it was a survey that I heard on the Tony Robbins podcast say that there's an economic downturn or recession coming. So where do you see the future of LED lighting going?
It's a very good question. LED lighting, I don't want to say it's a race, but just like efficiency improves and everything else, the lumen output per watt is kind of like what everybody's going after. Like 4 or 5 years ago, an LED fixture might be 70 lumens per watts or 60 or 40, and now that's up to 140, in some cases 180 or 190.
Wow.
So like as LEDs develop, they're going to be more and more efficient with more and more light output. So you're actually going to be using less energy to provide more light. That's where it's going.
And that's the key right there, the efficiency factor. And what about, you hear sometimes people talk about retrofitting, trying to save money and retrofit. What about that?
That's our curse word.
Yeah, that's a curse word.
What happens when somebody does a retrofit, let's say, for example, they take a fluorescent fixture that you have in the studio here, and rather than replace the whole fixture with an integrated LED, they have to take the light apart, they have to disconnect the ballast, they have to wire the fixture around the ballast, and then you're putting an LED light bulb in a fluorescent fixture, and it's too much energy for it to be effective. People make outrageous claims, 50,000 hours, 100,000 hours. Our experience, and we've taken out a lot of those, is that they don't last anywhere near what they did. And somebody could have spent that money to just do it the right way. Yeah. And it's a live and learn thing.
Competitors claiming certain types of, you see that across all business nowadays. Competitors will claim this or claim that or say things that are just totally untrue.
Exactly.
And it waters down the whole, the business landscape in general. If you just join us, we're talking with EAG-LED Lighting. Rob Lundholm here. He's the Director of Sales for the Northeast region for EAG-LED Global Lights here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So what else are you saying? I cut you off there.
Certain fixtures can give the industry a bad name. When you go to a big box store, and I'm not going to name any of them specifically, but again, their lights are significantly cheaper, or they can be significantly cheaper, but there's a reason. At a big box store, a light fixture is a homeowner version. It's designed to be on 3 hours a day, and we have customers that will go in and buy these fixtures, and after 2 or 3 weeks, their lights start to turn brown around the edges, or they're flashing, or they don't come right on. It's because they're not made to be in an all-day, everyday environment. We make our lights. You turn them on today, they'll still be on in 6 years without shutting them off. Like we stand behind that.
So, Rob, we have a lot of business owners listening to the show, a lot of real estate, mortgage, credit, all types of industries here. Almost, again, 7 years on air now with the show as a consumer advocate, a lot of business owners listening. So who would be an ideal customer that might be out there, driving around listening to the show, or maybe watching our TV show side?
Basically any commercial business, anybody that has lights that are on 2 shifts, 3 shifts, a single shifts, 8 to 5, 9 to 4, whatever, any business environment. And we can identify businesses from the outside, whether it be, they might have old lights in their parking lot or old lights on the outside of their building, or sometimes you can peek in the door and see fluorescence, and usually half of them are burnt out. And we kind of go after the customer that way. Not saying that it's always easy to get in to see the customer, but it's just like anything else. It takes time. And
does it seem to give you a headache, when you're in an environment where you have the different types of lighting? I think even right there is lighting.
Exactly.
It feels like over time it might give you a headache.
Yes. Now with most like fluorescent fixtures like this or certain other lights, if you video it on your phone and you for a couple seconds and then replay the video in slow motion, you can see the pulsing of the light. And a lot of times that, I don't want to say it triggers a headache or awareness, but some people could say, oh my God, that's why I come home with a headache from work every day.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of other disadvantages. There's mercury in the tubes, where if somebody were to drop a tube and break it in this office, you should evacuate because there's airborne mercury, which is never good.
Not good.
But our fixtures, none of that stuff. No tungsten, nothing dangerous. It's just a nice, pure, clean light.
Right. Absolutely. I love it. All right. EAG-LED Lighting, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want to thank Rob Lundholm for coming in. Excellent stuff. Great content there. EAG-LED, EAG-LED.com, EAG-LED.com.